We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. The Gravers, the arm of justice. They seemed unstoppable. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. You want to tune a scrap musket, you start with the barrel. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. Ever felt a Zolwood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, marshals learned to make every shot count. The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo. Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. Had to catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot. Funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. It took a keen eye not an itchy trigger finger. Marshals did more than just stand around shooting, of course. The accused always got a fair shake in Zealandia. Some used to take the bullhead trial. Survive the trial without taking a scratch, you'd walk away a free man. Trial pushed many a man to his limits. The bullhead trial taught folks three things. First, a good defense is a good offense. Second, you gotta always watch your back. Third, ain't no godlike bull up there gonna save you. The smarter ones knew when to just step aside and let things go. The kid makes it out in one piece. Well, a kid always wanted to compete in the bullhead trial. The marshals learn to pack those shells full of fire. That's the edge of the wilds, where Jawson and his boys disappeared. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. You know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Kid's faster than a slinger with those guns. Good thing pincushions can't see where they're shooting. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened him up. Same goes for the kid. Best take it real slow when pincushions are afoot. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Slinger Jawson's old outpost is all that's left of him. Kid sticks to his old standby. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Gotta keep a sure foot out there. Then the kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. The wilds drag him down. Wild green pineapples about the only good thing out here. Hardly any signs of the old Jawson camp. He's anxious to get back. The Wilds already reclaimed this place. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Kid's ready to get real personal with hammer and musket in hand. The city brought the shards to the Wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. The less said about Jawson Bog, the better. That place will eat your mind. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the Core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good, for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There's no way out. The dead welcome him with open arms. The kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of the Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gaiters. Now the Bastion can send him even farther, into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Caelondia's famous watering holes. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There's no way out. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send them even farther, into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. He's a petty thief. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left, undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Disgusting things. Hard to get a sure footing in the bog. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, a kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. Sometimes a single look says it all. He ain't all that shy. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Slinger Range is where the city's quickest pistoliers put themselves to the test. Rothus Lagoon. Even the brushers stopped going there. Didn't like being eaten. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts we don't know up from down, still lurking about. These beasts, they don't like company. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? The stinkweed. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. Brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Kid's got a mean throwing arm. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. Those leaping lunkheads don't like Queen Anne any better than the kid. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the Queen. Bad idea to walk in gator grass. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shard's sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. Made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. He's got it, and he's home free. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. That Gator's a crazy gal, but so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Kid don't always care for fancy guns and things. A bow and pike will do just fine. The marshals kept the city's peace. They can rest easy now. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Kid takes a little personal time for just him and his favorite musket. Plenty of gourds to go around, even now. Marshals like to fine-tune their muskets to get better results. The best of the best clear the course in just a few shots. Kid probably could have made himself marshal one day. To prepare for the wilds, Ceylandia's brushers practice at Camp Donce. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Donce. They said they made you weak. Rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pike. Just getting through the course in one piece was an accomplishment. You can see why the brushers prize those pikes of theirs. Point Lemaine's Grand Rail once brought the riches of the wild right to our doorstep. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The Grand Rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand Rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rail's seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Caelondian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While shooting a genuine registered army carbine? While choking on swamp weed? While peggers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told them. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Sometimes a brusher's bike just ain't enough. That's what the carbine's for. That's the way to make every shot count. The shards are getting harder to find. No risk of Culvert Cauldron ever erupting again, they used to say. Guess they were wrong. That's Trigger Hill, where the Army's elite became the finest marksmen in the land. Caelandia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Caelandian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. The kit ain't bad, but the Triggers were better. His ears must be ringing after all that shooting. Machete and carbine still go well together, just like in war. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we look down inside Culford Cauldron, look down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. The kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you could still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. The triggers. My brothers. Bravest men I ever knew. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. Got a feeling those tools ain't just for use at the old forge. Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time. Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape. It's no longer a weapon, it's a precision instrument. The inspiration. A forge can fashion anything. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. At least it won't get cold around here with that thing around. The city. Its riches, nothing but fragments now. A sail hammer's only as strong as its spine. That's a strong spine. On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Sand. Grady Incinerator's where we sent off all our trash to be burned or be eaten by the wilds. If you want to master the art of the firearm, then the place to go is Trigger Hill. Sometimes he had to shoot from the hip. I had to keep moving to avoid getting burned. Kid blows through that course like it was nothing. The Ceylandian army would have recruited him in a flash. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard him once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylandia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. The mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Almost succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip. Told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
And build that city on a hill. Gonna build that city on a hill.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too long. Gonna build that wall up to the sky. Gonna build that wall up to the sky. Someday
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
until it's done. Gonna build that wall until it's done. But now you got nowhere to run.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The brushers, they moved in shadows, but the calamity found them. When you've got a solid balance, you've got what you need. Not much left of Mount Zan nowadays. It's like a cross between a zoo and a prison break. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now.